Imagine, if you will, a traveler walking across an infinite, sun-scorched desert. This traveler is not carrying water or bread, but a massive, jagged stone strapped tightly to their back. With every step, the stone digs deeper into their flesh, the weight pulling their gaze down toward the dust, preventing them from seeing the horizon or the stars. This is the perfect image of a soul that refuses to forgive. We often speak of forgiveness as if it were a noble gift we bestow upon someone else, a generous act of charity for an undeserving debtor. But the spiritual reality is far more clinical and urgent. Unforgiveness is not a weapon you point at your enemy. It is a poison you swallow every single day, hoping the other person will be the one to suffer. When we hold on to a grudge, we aren't just remembering a past event, we are reliving it. We are keeping the wound fresh, picking at the scab until it bleeds again and again. We become prisoners of our own history, tied by a rusted, invisible chain to the very person who hurt us. Every moment spent in resentment is a moment stolen from your own joy, your own peace, and your own future. You think you are holding them accountable, but in reality, you are giving them free rent in your mind. You are allowing their past actions to dictate your present happiness. Today, we take the first difficult step toward the edge of that prison cell. We acknowledge the weight. We acknowledge the pain. But more importantly, we acknowledge the key that has been in our hand all along. Forgiveness is the profound spiritual surgery required to remove the stones from our backs. It is the decision to stop being a victim of what happened and start being the author of what happens next. It is time to drop the stone. It is time to look up at the sky. It is time to breathe the air of the free. At the very heart of the Christian mystery stands a cross, a symbol of ultimate suffering, yet also the ultimate throne of mercy. From the height of that agony, the words were whispered, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." These were not words of a man who didn't feel the pain, but of one who understood that the cycle of violence must end somewhere. This is the scandal of mercy. It offends our human sense of justice. Our ego screams for retribution. It wants an eye for an eye and a soul for a soul. We want a God who smites our enemies and validates our rage. But the gospel introduces a higher, more terrifying, and more beautiful law. The law of grace. Grace is the unmerited, unearned favor that the divine pours over our brokenness. And here is the difficult truth. Once you have been forgiven a debt you could never pay, you lose the diplomatic right to hold others in debt to you. Forgiveness is not an endorsement of evil. It is not saying that the betrayal was okay or that the abuse didn't matter. To forgive is not to be a doormat. It is to be a master of your own soul. It is the realization that the prisoner you are releasing is, in fact, yourself. When we align our hearts with this divine rhythm, we stop seeing people as static villains and start seeing them as broken vessels. Most people do not hurt others out of strength. They hurt others out of their own unhealed shadows. This doesn't excuse them, but it explains them. When you see the brokenness in the one who broke you, the chain begins to dissolve. You realize that you are both standing in the same need of the same infinite grace. The scandal of mercy is that it is available to all, even the one you find most impossible to forgive. By accepting this grace, you become a conduit for it. You become a bridge in a world that only knows how to build walls. For many of us, the hardest person to forgive is the one we see in the mirror every morning. We can find compassion for a stranger. We can even find a way to forgive an enemy, but we remain our own most relentless accusers. We carry a mental ledger of every if only, every what if, and every shameful mistake we've ever made. We replay our failures like a ghost haunting the hallways of our own hearts. We believe that by punishing ourselves with guilt, we are somehow paying the price for our sins. But guilt is a heavy, dark shadow that never brought anyone into the light. Shame is a liar. It tells you that you are the mistake, while grace tells you that you made a mistake. To refuse to forgive yourself is a subtle form of spiritual pride. It is as if you are telling the Creator that your standards for yourself are higher than His standards for you. If the infinite wisdom has seen your heart, known your mess, and still whispered, "I love you, start again," then who are you to argue? Self-forgiveness is an act of profound humility. It is admitting that you are human, fragile, and prone to losing your way. It is the process of looking at your younger, stumbling self not with disgust, but with the same tenderness you would show a child learning to walk. Today, let the gavel fall. Let the courtroom in your mind be dismissed. The debt you think you owe yourself has already been paid in the currency of grace. You are allowed to be a new creation. You are allowed to leave the old skin behind. The cage door is wide open, and the only thing keeping you inside is your own refusal to believe that you are worth the air you breathe. Step out. The morning is new, and so are you. One of the greatest myths about forgiveness is the phrase, "forgive and forget." In reality, the soul rarely forgets a profound wound, nor should it. Forgetting would mean losing the wisdom that the pain taught you. True forgiveness is not about the loss of memory. It is about the healing of memory. Before you forgive, remembering the hurt is like touching an exposed nerve. It brings instant, blinding pain and the urge to strike back. But after the work of forgiveness is done, remembering is like touching a scar. The mark is still there, it is a permanent part of your story, but it no longer has the power to bleed you. It no longer controls your pulse or your peace. This is the alchemy of the spirit, turning the lead of trauma into the gold of wisdom. Freedom is the ability to remember your past without being its victim. It is the power to look back at the dark valleys you've walked through and realize they didn't consume you, they refined you. When your memories are healed, you no longer enter new relationships with a shield in front of your heart. You stop projecting the ghost of the one who hurt you onto the innocent people you meet today. Forgiveness is the ultimate practice of slow living because it slows down the frantic pounding heart of the ego and allows the rhythmic calm breath of the spirit to take over. It is the fertile soil in which every other virtue, patience, kindness, and joy is grown. You are no longer a leaf blown by the winds of what people did to you. You are a tree with roots deep in the bedrock of grace. You are whole, not because you were never broken, but because you were put back together by a hand far more skillful than your own. The final, most beautiful stage of this journey is when your own healing becomes a sanctuary for others. When you have truly walked the path of forgiveness, you carry a scent about you, the scent of a life that has been to the edge of death and returned with hope. This is what it means to live a resurrected life. It is not a life that ignores the cross, but a life that has been transformed by it. You become a bridge for those who are still trapped in the deserts of resentment, still carrying their crates of stone. Your peace becomes a silent invitation. When people see that you are no longer bitter, no longer seeking revenge, and no longer haunted by your past, they begin to wonder if the same freedom is possible for them. You become a sacred echo of the divine's mercy in a world that is starving for it. As you go back into your daily life today, into your office, your kitchen, your marketplace, carry this light with you. Look at the people around you with resurrection eyes, seeing not just who they are, but who they could be if they were touched by grace. Thank you for sharing this deep journey of the heart with me. Do not be afraid to let go. Do not be afraid to be free. The whispers of grace are still speaking, and they are telling you that the war is over. You are free. You are loved. Go in peace and live deeply.